Hey, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to Pep Talk, the podcast. We give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help us, God. Hey, I'm so excited to be here with you today. We're going to take some crazy, complex health and wellness and medical conversations that you're hearing about in the news every day. You're probably seeing it in your friends, family, and loved ones. You're probably seeing it on social media. We're going to break it down into some simple, digestible solutions and give you some action steps that you can take today to help yourself, your family, and your community improve their health. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Naputi. 20 years I've been in practice, functional medicine, functional neurology, helping people get to the root cause of their problems. I know that doctor is Latin for teacher. Our job is to teach, reach, inspire, and motivate people on what they should do to change their life, not just write you a bunch of prescriptions for pills, potions, lotions, and drugs. Today, I'm going to be taking you down a very interesting conversation, a very serious topic, one that we're seeing more profound today than I've seen in the last 20 years combined of my healthcare career. And that's a condition called dysautonomia. It really is the silent epidemic. And I'm going to talk to you today about the root cause of this problem, things you can do to improve your health with this. But let me ask you a question. Have you heard of any of these symptoms? Let me read some of these to you. Have you ever heard of something called POTS? Positional orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, where you sit to stand and you get lightheaded, dizzy, you get a little fluttery, you feel like you might pass out. We're hearing about that all the time. We're seeing it on the news. We're seeing athletes pass out on the soccer pitch and on the football field and all over the place. We're seeing reporters and stand-up comedians just fall down and pass out for no apparent reason. What about orthostatic hypotension, sitting to standing, loss of blood pressure? What about neurocardiac syncope? People that turn their head and they're dizzy and they pass out. What about all these other autonomic issues that are happening, like autoimmune issues? What about diabetic neuropathies and congenital central hypothalamic syndromes? And what about like inappropriate sinus tachycardia and AFib and all these other things that are out there? These are all signs of a condition called dysautonomia. Let me explain what that is. In our body, we have two parts of the nervous system. We have the central nervous system, which is your brain and your spinal cord. The second part of the nervous system is the autonomic nervous system. It's primarily made up of part of the brain, your vagus nerve, and all of the nerves that go to the organs of your body and tell them how to work automatically. Just think about the autonomic nervous system is an automatic nervous system. You don't have to think about your heart rate or your digestion or your liver to produce bile or your digestive tract to do what it's supposed to do. It happens automatically. The problem is if there's a disconnect because of stress, because of physical, chemical, or neuro-emotional stresses, there can be a bad signaling coming from the brain to the body and the body to the brain. And there are physical, chemical, and neurological reasons and emotional reasons for dysautonomia. But over the past 5 years, a concerning health issue has truly surged. The prevalence of dysautonomia we've never seen it this high before. This disorder, which impacts the automatic and autonomic nervous system, the ANS is what it's called, is now affecting people now more than ever, manifesting in various symptoms. And unfortunately, the complexity of dysautonomia often leads to misdiagnosis and then delayed treatment. And so it exacerbates the patient's problem. And I'm just telling you, as a healthcare practitioner who specializes in holistic root cause medicine, I've observed firsthand the epidemic is rapidly expanding and happening in younger and younger people and seemingly healthy people. Their hearts are just stopping. They're having sudden death syndrome. What the heck is even that? I mean, 20 years ago, we didn't even hear about that. Now we're talking about it all the time, and it's coming from the condition known as dysautonomia. So again, dysautonomia is a growing problem. Let me give you some of the symptoms of dysautonomia. If you have any of these problems, you might want to pay attention to this. Chronic fatigue, a constant feeling of exhaustion that doesn't improve with rest. Dizziness and fainting, frequent episodes of lightheadedness or fainting, especially from sitting to standing. Heart palpitations, irregular heartbeats, or the sensation of a racing heart, aka tachycardia or AFib. What about digestive issues? Symptoms like nauseousness, bloatiness, constipation, or diarrhea, often linked to unknown gastroparesis, which is your body's digestion isn't moving. You're not having a bowel movement every day. Temperature dysregulation. Are you cold all the time? And all of a sudden you're getting hot flashes and told that that's a hormonal issue? It's dysautonomia. What about shortness of breath, difficulty breathing? Those types of things are signs of dysautonomia. What about brain fog, problems with memory and concentration and mental clarity? What about blood pressure fluctuations? One day it's high, one day it's low. I mean, when you're all over the place, extreme swings in blood pressure, sometimes resulting in hyper or hypotension, dysautonomia. What about sleeping disorders? Difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep or waking up unrefreshed despite sleeping all through the night. What about anxiety, depression, and like I said, insomnia, emotionally just being unstable, often accompanied with dysautonomia. I mean, this is a mental health issue. Dysautonomia is more common than you can even imagine. It's hard to quantify the number of people that are dealing with dysautonomia, but we're seeing more of it now today than we've ever had because of the increased stress, physically, chemically, emotionally. I mean, neurologically, we're bombarded with so many toxins. I mean, it's been said that the average person is exposed to somewhere around 700,000 toxic chemicals per day in their life, per day. And most of those people have genetic imbalances called methylation issues called MTHFR. And when those MTHFR genes are dirty and they're not working like they're supposed to, then guess what happens? Those toxins don't come out of our body and we get a toxic cellular response causing inflammation and unfortunately dysregulation of the body. But the gut-brain connection is what I need you to understand the most. And this, folks, is the most important development in understanding dysautonomia. It's the connection between the brain and the gut, and it's connected primarily through the vagus nerve. So there's a loop. Your brain sends signals down to your body, and your body sends signal back to the brain. And that's done through the autonomic nervous system, primarily through the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the superhighway nerve of the body. And 10 to 20% of that vagus nerve lives into the base of the skull and the upper cervical spine. 80% of that vagus nerve lives in the GI tract, and the rest of it is in between. So you could have vagus nerve disruption of the upper cervical spine because of physical injuries, because of traumas, because of neck problems, because of sports injuries, car accidents, whiplash, because of birth trauma, because you're on your phone all day long like most people are. I mean, these are problems. But then if you have abnormal gut bacteria, if you're eating the standard American diet, which most of you are, if you're eating foods that are outside of the scope of your genetic profile, which most of you are, if you're not getting enough of the good bacteria in your system, which most of you don't, and if you're eating foods that have glyphosate, fluoride, chlorine, herbicides, pesticides, larvicides, and many people have the same sensitivities to synthetic vitamins, especially synthetic B vitamins, your body's going to be in a state of dysautonomia. Now, the health of the gut is deeply intertwined into the function of the vagus nerve. And an abundance of gut microbiome and an imbalance in it, commonly referred to as dysbiosis, can lead to dysregulation of the vagus nerve. Have you ever heard of that phrase, trust your gut? You ever hear when people say that? There's an intuition in your gut. There is, because when you have the vagus nerve, when the gut's working proper, the gut and brain are communicating, and you can have an intuition and trust your gut feeling and your gut sensation. But if you don't have that loop working like it's supposed to, man, we got some serious problems. And in turn, the autonomic nervous system shuts off because of bad microbiome. And it's characterized by a lack of diversity in the gut bacteria. And the role of the microbiome in dysautonomia is important to understand. The human microbiome is a vast ecosystem of microorganisms that live in our digestive tract, live on our skin, live in our mucous membranes of our eyes, our nose, our mouth, our ears, our rectal areas, in the vaginal canal. And if those are out of balance, which 95%, I'm going to say this again, 95% of the global population, according to the studies, has some varying degree of abnormal bacteria in their system because of a poor diet, because of chronic stress, because of overuse of antibiotics, because of environmental toxins, that leads to dysbiosis. Those are triggers of causing the system to get out of whack, which then leads to the vagus nerve not communicating properly like it's supposed to. The vagus nerve, when it's off, can cause, I'm going to tell you, almost every symptom you could possibly think of. I mean, look at this. Did you know that if the vagus nerve is not working like it's supposed to, you can have anxiety, depression, insomnia. You could have problems with the thyroid, the heart, the stomach, the intestinal tract, the liver, the reproductive organs, the muscles in your body, the eyes, the ears, your sensation of smell and taste could be off. The vagus nerve is the communication from your body to your brain and your brain to your body. And there are lots of problems that can cause that. You know, you have primary dysautonomia that sometimes the exact cause of it is never truly fully understood. But I will tell you, we're leaning towards genetic imbalances and gut microbiome issues. And then you can have secondary dysautonomia that can be caused by physical, chemical, and neuroemotional stresses. You could literally have a loss of the curve in your cervical spine, and that could mess up the vagus nerve. You could literally have foods that don't coexist properly in your GI tract because your genetics are off from it, and that could lead to abnormal problems with the gut bacteria. So what do? You test your body genetically. You find out how to eat for your genetic profile. You find out how to sleep properly. You find out how to supplement properly. You get your gut bacteria tested. You do a stool sample to look at the good, the bad, the ugly bacteria that's in there. Then what you do is you start eating for your genetic lifestyle. You start supplementing with the right prebiotics, the right fiber in your system. And it's vegetables. It's vegetables, folks. It's vegetables. Vegetable fiber is what you need. And you're better off eating it than you are supplementing it. And then having the right bacteria in the system. And it's important to have the right bacteria. If you don't have the right probiotics in the system, I'm going to tell you that 90+% of the probiotics on the market do nothing for people. They actually cause more harm than good. That's why I literally pulled out the rest of my hair to create and find the right probiotics that truly help people. I believe that the master microbiotic formula that we've created, and we're working on new advanced strains of that formula as we speak, is right now the best formula on the planet for two reasons. Number one, it has spore-based microbiome bacteria. Those are the kind that you need because they're living bacteria. They're not dead bacteria. And then we have a patented delivery system that gets it past the stomach acid, which destroys most of the probiotics that people take to this day. And it gets it into the small intestine where we have a 99% survivability rate of our bacteria. It makes complete sense. And there's no coincidence that dysautonomia has become more prevalent in the last recent years because the modern lifestyle are literally wrecking and wreaking havoc on our brain gut axis with poor diet, chronic stress, environmental toxins. The latest data shows that 80+% of individuals who had their blood tested in a recent study had microplastics in their blood. That's destroying the bacteria. You're exposed to 700,000 chemicals per day. That's not normal. Those are man-made chemicals. The rise of dysautonomia is not just a health issue. It's bigger than that because when we have dysautonomia, we can't communicate properly to other people. We can't control our emotions. We're emotionally unstable. We can't focus, concentrate. We can't learn proper. The vagus nerve is powerful. Go look up the polyvagal theory. Polyvagal theory. You're going to be blown away when you understand how powerful the polyvagal theory is and how real practical application of it has proven it should be a law instead of a theory, and how fixing and stabilizing the gut microbiome is one of the most important things you can do to improve vagus nerve function. So what do? Do what we told. Do the genetic profile. Start doing the right food. Start sleeping well, eating well, moving well based off of your individual need. Then what else do? What else we need to do is we need to get on the right prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic. Postbiotic If you have enzymes in your diet, plant-based enzymes with each meal, you should take plant-based enzymes with each meal. You should have prebiotic fiber in your system. You should have the master microbiotic formula. You should make sure you're getting a lot of good, healthy fats, coconut oil, ghee butter, real butter, beef tallow, extra virgin olive oil, MCT oil, those kinds of things. Feed the good bacteria. And then avoid the foods that are triggers for you. Dairy, glutens, red dyes, yellow dyes, blue dyes, fluoride, chlorine, high fructose corn syrup. Those things destroy our gut bacteria, and it leads to dysautonomia. And when you've got the abnormal gut bacteria already going in the system, guess what happens? Every extra stressor you have physically, whether it's an injury, a fall, a sports injury, a car accident, sleeping funny, having a wrong pillow, whatever, that's going to be exacerbated. Whether you have more emotional stresses, if your bacteria is balanced, you can handle stress better. It's been proven. So if your bacteria is off and you have a stress trigger, you have a higher risk of going off the handle and not responding favorably to it. You react instead of respond. If you've got chemical imbalances, let's say your bacteria is already off and you get exposed to a cold virus, a bacteria that's abnormal, a virus, whatever, a parasite, your body is not going to have what it takes to respond and turn that off or throw that off. So it's key to understand this, you guys. It's so powerful. I just wanted to start this conversation with that. So dysautonomia is a serious problem that we're seeing. And I'm concerned that right now our primary medical establishment in North America knows that the vagus nerve has a lot to do with emotional and mental instability, and dysautonomia is a part of that. And instead of having a global conversation about how do we fix the problem and prevent it in the first place, they're trying to figure out funding to get more mental health institutions to institutionalize Americans and people across the globe. It's completely crazy. So look, here's what I want you to do, because this is a lot of information. I want you to go back, re-listen to this, take notes on this, share with your friends, family members, and loved ones. Go to our website, peptalk.world. That's peptalk.world. I want you to like, subscribe, and share with your friends and family, because the truth will set you free, but most people don't get a chance to hear the truth because it's censored. Because there ain't no money in the cure. Keeping you fat, sick, and nearly dead is the plan. And I want you to remember that knowledge is power, but wisdom is taking that knowledge and applying it to your life. Folks, I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. Thank you for your grace, your patience, and your respect of giving me the opportunity to share what I know with you. And folks, until we meet again, I'm Dr. Eric Naputi. God bless you. God bless America, and God bless the world. See you next time.